The footage you're seeing now was from almost 4 years ago, when I first started playing and making content for Dauntless. The game had a unique feel and aesthetic to it, unlike anything I'd ever experienced before, and had me hooked instantly. To say it's changed in the 4 years since I've started playing is an understatement. The game has grown so much and in ways that are both subtle and more obvious. But does that mean it's still worth playing? Hi. My name was slashPhantom, and I've been a Dauntless partner for a little over 3 years now. Today I'll be going over what Dauntless is, the gameplay and the environment around it, and helping you decide whether or not the game I built my channel off of is still worth playing today. Regardless of whether or not you're a new player or a returning veteran, you're almost guaranteed to find something useful in this review. Otherwise, let's get to it. Dauntless is a game where you hunt monsters, craft gear, and hunt even more monsters for better gear. It sounds simple enough, but the tools that you're given to do so and the environments that you end up traveling to are what build up that straightforward premise. The world of Dauntless is a deeply varied one, with countless broken, yet beautiful landscapes serving as the backdrop for each hunt. And much like the diverse roster of islands that you'll be traveling between, you're provided with a unique array of weapons to choose from to assist you on your hunts, each with their own nuance. From your bread and butter sword to your rapid jab pike, down to the slow, methodical swings of an axe, Dauntless gives you the means to approach combat how you see fit. Dauntless also provides you with plenty of room to experiment and toy around with each of the 7 weapons in the training ground, and the dummies within it, giving you ample opportunity to find the perfect weapon that fits your playstyle. I personally enjoy using the axe, due to its reliance on proactive decision making and its incredibly high damage output in the right hands. The environment and the weapons play a large part in Dauntless's main gameplay loop. There are 5 elements in Dauntless. Actually, editor's note here, there are 7 elements in Dauntless. I don't know why I said 5 here. Each element has its own set of behemoths, weapons, and armor that have their own elemental advantages and weaknesses. For example, shock weapons deal increased damage to Terra behemoths, but shock armor is weak to Terra damage. Most elements can also, after dealing a certain amount of elemental damage, inflict a special status effect based on the element used. Much of the early game revolves around building your loadout for specific encounters in particular regions. Cold Runner Key, for example, is an island that's filled with primarily frost behemoths. Likewise, it'd be smart to bring a fire weapon to deal bonus damage to them, while also wearing frost armor to mitigate the frost damage that they deal to you. On top of the element system, there's another facet to your arsenal that can radically influence the amount of power you have, that being your cells, perks, and your weapon's unique effect. Cells are unique augments that can be placed in your equipment that provide either passive perks or special bonuses activated by meeting certain criteria, either in combat or out in the world. This is where you can make your builds really shine, especially if you happen to pair a powerful set of perks with an equally as strong unique effect from a weapon. And what better way to complement a fresh set of gear than with powerful consumables? While navigating various hunting grounds, you can gather herbs and ore that can be used to craft tonics that offer you short but incredibly strong bonuses, ranging from increased attack speed to reduced stamina costs. While the amount you can carry and the types you can carry at once are limited, there's a tonic for almost every situation you can think of. And if that isn't enough for you, you can eventually unlock alternative special abilities and additional modifications for the weapon of your choice, creating even more alternatives for build paths. With all that talk about equipment, how much fun is the actual combat in Dauntless? For a new player, the game is pretty accessible. Not too easy to be a joke, but smooth enough initially to help you get familiar with the controls and the flow of action. If you've ever played a Dark Souls-esque game, or a game that revolves around dodging enemy attacks with a well-timed button press, you'll feel right at home in Dauntless. And even if you haven't, Dauntless does a great job at explaining the mechanics. And more than just the combat mechanics too. Every major gameplay element is usually accompanied by a small quest and then a small tutorial graphic that helps cover the basics. The YouTube community for Dauntless is also fairly strong, with a lot of dedication put in by smaller creators to fill the gaps of knowledge not addressed by these tutorials. For the most part though, everything you need to learn is taught to you in the game. Back to the combat, there's a wide variety of behemoths with their own moves, elements, and dodge timings to learn and to adjust to. On top of that, a lot of these encounters have different ways that you can interact with them, like interrupting a behemoth's charge and causing it to flop to the ground temporarily, or changing a behemoth's attack pattern or range by severing something like a tail or a wing. That, on top of how punchy and responsive each weapon and their attacks feel, makes combat super smooth and almost arcadey. A fast-paced style that's been a hallmark of the game since when I first started, and something that I adore immensely. Customization, and more specifically cosmetics, are also a large part of Dauntless. With a seasonal battle pass progressed by completing various in-game bounties, mini-quests that reward Slayer XP and Hunt Pass XP after meeting the criteria, there's an incentive to keep playing the game if you're interested in investing the $10 for the battle pass. You get your money's worth in platinum, Dauntless's premium currency, back upon completion, which only further incentivizes the need to finish all 50 levels of that battle battle pass. This is probably the only part of the game that I don't really have any strong feelings towards. You can buy things that can somewhat accelerate your progress, like XP boosts or the Slayer's Club or patrol keys, but these are all things that you can also earn at a pretty solid pace for free. There aren't any definitive pay-to-win options. It's more just paying to accelerate your progression. And even then, in order to make any use of what you end up buying, you have to actually play the game without any boost to your personal power. On a more tangential note, the community for Dauntless is also pretty strong despite it being a smaller title. You'll usually be able to enter a hunting ground and find people to matchmake with, or you can just enter a private instance if you're playing solo. There's something in it for everyone. And if you happen to have friends on consoles or maybe even on the Switch, you can play with them still. Dauntless fully supports crossplay between PC, Xbox, PS4, and the Switch, which is amazing to me. There's a few things I still haven't covered yet, namely the alternative game modes for Dauntless. Escalation takes place on an elemental-themed map where you progress through different arenas and fight increasingly more difficult behemoths. To help you along the way, you'll be able to pick a special power-up at the end of each fight to help you with the next fight. There's 3 layers of difficulty for each escalation, 1 through 13, which is recommended for newer players, 10 through 50, which is for players at or near the endgame, and lastly, heroic escalations, which are for players who have fully upgraded equipment and cells and isn't for the faint of heart. Trials is a competitive game mode where Slayers can compete for time on a leaderboard. Normal trials reward silver marks on completion, and you get a certain amount based on whether or not you killed a behemoth in a fixed amount of time. Silver marks can be spent in a special shop where you can buy weapon modifications and other goodies as well. Dauntless trials reward gilded marks, and are significantly harder than their normal counterpart. These are the only trials that are recorded to the leaderboard, and there are leaderboards for both solo and group play. Players in the top 100 of all Slayers get rewarded a title and access to a special shop where they can spend their gilded marks. Meanwhile, players in the top 5 of solos or groups receive the Dauntless title. I have this title and I got it back when I used to be great at the game, but now I'm turbo washed up. I've gone over a lot in this video, but there's still so much for you to explore and figure out on your own. Dauntless has changed a lot over the course of 4 years. Even still, after I went back and played a ton to get footage for this video, I can safely say without a doubt that it's definitely still worth playing, even in 2022. The progression curve is solid, the gameplay is satisfying, and most players will get their time's worth out of the game. And really, there's no reason to not at least give it a try. It is free, and there's no cache gates or stupid paywalls. Just pick it up and go. That being said, this will be the last video I make on Dauntless for a long time, and maybe even permanently. I've had a lot of fun and amazing memories with this game, both as a player and a content creator, but as I'm getting older, I feel like it's time for me to move on to new horizons. For those of you who are new to the channel, you'll probably catch me making content for different games or different media altogether. You can check out a lot of my older videos, but a lot of the guides aren't really relevant anymore. For those of you who have stuck with me over the last 3 or 4 years, I hope you continue to hang around. Let me know in the comments what you think of Dauntless, whether or not you're a new or returning player. I want to hear some of your experiences. They mean a lot to me, especially in this twilight of my content creation for the game. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for more videos to come. Otherwise, take care. And as always, have a good one.